Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. This is Run It Back. We got Boogie, Lou, Chandler. My name's Michelle. What hat are we wearing today, Chandler?
Oh, you know, just a red champion hat.
Oh my God. I've never been more regretful for asking a question in my entire life.
I honestly don't know the brand. But
shut up. That's just it's a random champion hat.
Can't you just say, you know what, your hat game is really strong, and I respect that you wear a different hat every Zoom show.
That's what I meant to say.
Ain't nothing, my boy.
What do you say, Lou?
That hat ain't nothing right there. Let's go.
Should I turn it around? Jesus,
no.
I didn't know I was walking into a roast.
Well, I didn't know we couldn't ad-lib here. I won't do it again. What's up, Boogie? You had a day yesterday. People loved everything that you had to say yesterday. I hope you saw the internet giving you your props.
Yeah. I'm glad people can appreciate honesty. So
it was a good day.
As bad as we thought.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, so we got a lot to talk. By the way, the drama doesn't end, and it's a lot of Shams reporting. So we're gonna get right into it because the Giannis of it all reported yesterday that he and his agent have started conversations with the Bucks about his future, figuring out what his best fit is, whether or not he's going to go somewhere. They're going to figure out a resolution, and that would come in coming weeks, which makes me sound kind of excited. Asset-wise, we're not really sure what that's going to look like, and we'll get into some of the other reports that are coming alongside that. However, Boogie, were you even shocked at this point to hear that he and his agent have actually started these conversations?
No, I'm not shocked. I think it's on the table at this point. It's pretty obvious that, you know, this isn't a healthy situation moving forward as far as winning games, being productive, and, you know, competing for a championship. When you speak on Giannis, all of those things are attached to his name whenever he, you know, joins your organization. So we know what he brings every night, every season. We know what his expectations are, and, you know, him and Milwaukee just aren't on the same page. So I don't think this will be a messy breakup. I think both sides have a strong respect for one another, just with everything they've been through, the relationship, you know, winning a championship together. I think it's a great mutual respect between both sides. And the fact that they're willing to, you know, help him go exactly where he wants to go and work out a deal that'll work for, you know, him and themselves at the end of the day. Like I said, that's a great sign of respect. So, you know, hopefully this goes smoothly. You know, both sides can, you know, go on with their life and, you know, be successful. But, you know, I think it's time. It's really no other answer. It's just time to make this happen.
Yeah. And listen, it's not a great situation as far as realistic championship goals this season, right? That's obvious with the look of this roster and the way that they're performing. So if with that being said, I'm fully shopping him and hearing any and all offers to see how I can not go into full rebuild mode. And Giannis is a guy that's going to bring in a boatload of assets, picks, starting caliber level players in that trade. So no doubt in my mind, he has had conversations with his agent. I bet you these conversations have been going on, you know, marking back to last year when the whole Middleton trade went down. What's my future look like here? What's our next move here? What else are we going to bring in here to build a team around me? So you constantly have conversations with your agent. Now, whether those conversations are going to the front office and ownership and the coaching staff, that's a different story. I believe Doc, when he says last night after the game, he talks to Giannis every day, and Giannis has never once asked for a trade. He's never once said he doesn't like or want to be in Milwaukee. So I also believe Doc when he says that. Now, this losing keeps you know, happening, and I believe him that right now those conversations haven't happened. That doesn't mean they're not going to start happening with the way this season's going. So they're kind of in limbo. I think Giannis is that main, obviously, trade asset that they have where they can kind of get back so much that they don't have to go into full rebuild mode. But it'll be interesting to see what a guy like him brings in. But if I'm Milwaukee, I'm listening to everything because this team as it isn't enough.
Yeah, for me, it was just good for them to officially say, look, we're going to start having conversations opposed to us speculating or trying to figure out, does he want to get traded? Is he getting traded? It was good to hear all sides at least speak about it, from Doc Rivers saying, look, as far as I'm concerned, as the coach of the team, I haven't heard him say he wants to be traded. He's been focused on doing what's needed for the Milwaukee Bucks up until this point. And then to counter that, you hear the agent come out and say, we're having conversations about his future along with the organization. So put all the speculation aside. It was good for them to actually announce that, put that information out there so everybody can move forward accordingly, But what's going on with Giannis and the Bucks organization, this is rare. Like you don't see this very often, where a team is working side by side with one of their best players to figure out if their future is best in Milwaukee or is it best somewhere else. And we're going to work side by side where, whatever the decision is made, it works for both sides of the coin. That's a very rare thing that you see around the league. So, kudos to the Milwaukee Bucks organization for even being open and honest and public about having that conversation with Giannis and his representatives and seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah, this is exactly the agent's job, right? Like Giannis doesn't need to get in the middle of this. That's how it gets sloppy when he starts demanding a trade, where he starts publicly saying things like he's given everything to this franchise, to this city. There's no reason this needs to be a messy breakup. That is the agent and the manager's job for Giannis, which sounds like they are taking good control of the situation because, like I said, this guy's loved there. He loves the city. He loves the organization. At the end of the day, it's just not a championship level team. And Giannis is a top 3, top 5 NBA player in the world. He wants to maximize his prime right now, and it probably isn't in Milwaukee. Fans might have a hard time understanding that, but deep down, they know that. They know he deserves better. God, they want him to stay here. They want to build the team around him and construct another championship team like they had before. But this year is not that. So it's his agent's job to kind of keep this from getting out of control and keep this being like a media publicity thing.
Boogie, sorry, Beast, cut you off. Boogie and Chandler, I want to ask y'all this. I saw it in your face. I want to ask y'all this as players. Like, are we in the era now that if you go 2 or 3 years and don't win a championship and you're a superstar player, then you're out? Like, what happened to fighting? This is not even about Giannis. This is a general question. Like, what happened to fighting it out and figuring out, look, this is my legacy. This is where I'm staying. This is where my legacy is built. I'm gonna deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly of that situation. Are we done with that era? And if I can't get a chip, then I'm out. Are we done with that?
I think we are. And I think that's just, where time is in sports now. Everything is about fast results. That's why you see teams being built overnight to where, they might not have been as good the previous year, but now this year they're championship contenders just because they went and put a bunch of names together. But also with that being said, they put these teams together. There's no camaraderie, there's no chemistry, there's no flow to the team, and year after year. For instance, the Clippers. It's this. I think this is just the times that we're in. Everything is about fast results, and that's just not how teams are built. That's not how sports work. It's about building relationships. It's about building chemistry, building trust. It takes years and years of that. You think about it as if, it's in a relationship with a girl. Like, it takes years and years to know this person, to trust this person, to make this relationship work. So I think that's something that's, kind of went left when it comes to sports. I don't know if it's because of the social media era. I don't know what it is, but everything is about quick results now. And that's just not how sports work. So I think that's just, I blame it on the time that we're in.
Yeah, it's definitely a what have you done for me lately? And they've got one championship since 2013 that he's been there. And that's kind of the peak. And they've reached that pinnacle and they haven't been close to getting back to it really soon. So I think when you look at a guy of his resume and, 2-time MVP, 9-time All-Star, like all defensive team, all NBA, like it's one of the greatest players, greatest power forwards of all time. At what point is it that he's done all he can do in this situation too would be the counter to that. So I think we are in the era where, especially if you're a star player, you have all the leverage. And if you have the respect and kind of the relationship that Giannis does, I think he deserves that level of trust and honest dialogue to have to get him to a situation where he's not miserable. So it is weird, and it's definitely a players' league, but it's like Boogie said, it's such a what have you done for me lately league that no one's thinking about that championship Milwaukee won with Giannis and Chris Middleton. They're thinking about right now that they're fighting for a play-in spot with one of the best players in the world.
Boogie, you are, by the way, you are right. I mean, if you think people meet, get married 3 weeks later, and then they're divorced this is just the world we live in. We're idiots. And we want instant gratification. And what I think about this is the Brian Windhorst part of it all. And Wendy was all over the place on this story yesterday, because he's saying that Giannis will be, quote, instructing the Bucks where he wants to play, and that they're going to make the best deal. Now, at the end of the day, they obviously are going to do what's best for them. But if you watch this show, it's been about a couple seasons now that we've been saying he wants to be a New York Knick. Last summer, people started to really start talking about that. I don't know. Let's start with you, Boogie. Do you think the Knicks, obviously it would be fun and it would be awesome to watch, but is that the best spot?
I mean, I don't know necessarily what's the best spot for Giannis. I mean, I feel like any team that he joins has a chance, obviously outside of the Milwaukee Bucks. But, whatever team he does go to this season, it's going to take a lot away from that team. So as far as it being a championship season, the moment he joins the team, I don't know. That's tough to, kind of guess on or speculate on. But, everybody knows Giannis's value. Everybody knows once he's a part of your organization, you're now competing for a championship. I mean, I don't think it's a team in the league that wouldn't, throw in some sort of offer to try to, get this guy on their team. So with that being said, Giannis is great. He's going to continue to be great. Whatever situation he ends up in, I think it can become a positive situation. We've mentioned all these teams, the Knicks, the Lakers, but even a team like Miami, I could see him fitting there and turning into a great situation with their culture, with their history, with Spoelstra at the head of the realm. It's so many potential spots I could see him going and having that type of impact. So what's the perfect situation? I think any situation he ends up in can become that. It just depends on where. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, listen, we're talking about one of the better players in the NBA still at 30 years old, and I don't care that he makes $54 million. 54 million, then 58 million, then a player option for 63 million at 32, 33 years old. I don't care. This guy, when he's healthy and when he's on the floor, he makes any team better. And I'm all in on New York. I think as good of a season and team they have now, I don't think they're a championship level team. I don't trust them to go win a championship as constructed now. You add Giannis on that team with Jalen Brunson, and you manage to keep an OG or a Bridges or a Cat to one of those three. Now I think you got better as a team, and I think you have real championship aspirations. So I'm not sure the pick situation that they have. I know they just traded their first round pick, but it's going to take a lot to get him. But I do like the fit with him and Jalen Brunson. There's the young teams like Houston and San Antonio. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm almost more interested in, because that gives me a level of a potential star while still being a competitive in the Eastern Conference coming up. But I don't hate the moves to the Knicks. I think it would be great for Giannis. I think it'd be great for the NBA to see a player of his level at Madison Square Garden every single night.
Agree.
Yeah.
I did like the reports. What Spurs say Spurs?
No.
No
race mistake today. But you know what? I like the Miami idea. If you can keep Bam there, maybe Tyler Hero or Norm Powell, if you're able to keep, one or two of those pieces right there, you got a three right there that I feel culturally, mentally, how these guys go about business and how they compete. You might have the right mindset down in Miami, down in South Beach, where you can make some real noise in the Eastern Conference if you add Giannis to that. New York is another one that makes sense as well. The bright lights and obviously Giannis he's starting to be more of a public figure, doing commercials and doing those things and embracing that side of what comes with sports entertainment. So New York is another one, but I like New York. I like Miami. One of the two of those will work for me as far as Giannis is concerned.
Yeah, and
look at you guys. Look at you snobs. New York and Miami. Oh, it's a stretch.
Listen, San Antonio, I like the move for both. Like I said, it gives Milwaukee that hope and future stars. But I'm getting Harper or I'm getting Castle in that trade. And then you're also giving me picks, and you're also giving me Vassell, Sohan, or Keldon Johnson. Dang,
dude.
I'm saying I'm getting a lot. I'm getting the majority of those things I just said. Okay, and the Spurs are one of the teams that have those attractive assets where Milwaukee might be like, you know what? All right, I can get back 3-4 starters and some potential picks. Yep. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm interested in that. But
I mean, we did wake up to reports about them going that the Spurs were going to be aggressive on this. So
the idea of Giannis and Wemby together is insane.
Man, you guys,
how you feel about that, Beadle?
Can I tell you right now what I'm looking at on the other side of my room that I'm in right now is all my Fiesta Spurs like starter jackets and stuff. I'm going to wear all of them all the time. You guys, you're gonna hate me. I got a whole shelf of this stuff.
They got Giannis.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just jinxed it. All right, moving on to the Giannis thing, by the way, because we're not done. Because on top of all of what is going on yesterday, to make everything just seem that much worse and dramatic, he actually leaves the game, non-contact injury. Those are the words you never want to hear because when it's non-contact, it just seems like it's never good. We don't know the severity yet, but I'll start with you, Boogie. What does this mean against this backdrop of everything else that we've just talked about? And now you've got an injury, don't know how bad. What does it mean?
Nothing. I mean, It's still Giannis. Team still won him. The Bucks are still suck this season. Nothing changes. So
okay.
That's my answer. Nothing changes. It's not going to stop a team from should we trade? Nothing comes from this. If anything, by the time this trade does happen, you'll have a Giannis that's fresh and healthy, and he'll come in ready to play. But like I said, this changes nothing.
Yeah, nothing changes, especially if it's just a calf strain, and we understand that it's just a calf strain, and it hasn't led to an Achilles, and they were able to catch this early. You know, it looks scary. The optics look crazy, but it was good to just see that it was a calf strain. I'm sure today, usually the protocol is he'll probably get an MRI today, get everything checked out, and then we'll get an official diagnosis later on in the day. So hopefully it remains the right calf strain, and that's where we are. And if that's what it is, we're talking about, 2 or 3 weeks. But those teams, if that's the issue, those teams are going to continue to call. They're going to continue to reach out, see what they can get for Giannis, or if they can make something happen. If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, if nothing happens, I feel good about having him still in the lineup after this is all said and done. So I agree with Boogie. Nothing changes besides the fact that he won't be in the lineup. They're probably going to get worse, or we'll see what happens with this team in his absence. But from there, as far as the trade and all that stuff goes, I'm with Boogie on this. Nothing changes.
Yeah, as far as the trade, this means nothing. It's not like his value goes down if he's out a month, and he ain't rushing back. I'll tell you this: we don't know the severity. We don't know the severity of this injury. It didn't look like much, but the non-contact injuries, those are the scary ones. He's not rushing back, and again, this will kind of make or break their season if they go south and go on a 10 out of 12 game losing streak here. Kind of really puts things in perspective and puts some urgency on these trade talks. And I think we'll continue to hear them get louder and louder. But I don't think this changes anything of his value, but I think it might, if anything, kickstart these conversations that we keep hearing about.
All right.
I got a quick. What's up with all these calf strains? Like
I don't know.
I've never seen it, happen at this rate, and it's got to be some type of, correlation to why it's so many Achilles tears and so many calf strains in the past 2 to 3 seasons. So I'm wondering if there's any, new studies or research on why it's happening at such a high rate now.
We're gonna get on that.
That's
my
pretty
expert
scary.
opinion since I'm a doctor and I know what I'm talking about. You want my expert opinion?
Let me hear that.
That'll be good. We go another doctor.
The last couple of days, I've watched a lot of basketball, and these guys are playing 4, 5, 6 minute stretches where you're literally not blowing the whistle, or it's a quick whistle, taking the ball out on the side, and they're continuing to play. We've shooting so many 3-pointers, and we're playing at a pace that's so fast. We're not slowing down, playing half court where you get an opportunity to take a breather, let your body rest for a second, get into a set, and slow down. Like, this pace is crazy. I remember at a time it was only 1 or 2 teams in the NBA trying to score in 4 to 6 seconds, really fast and early in the shot clock. Now it feels like every team is playing that way. Every guy has a green light to just shoot threes, get quick attempts. It looks like the game has went to a place where they're trying to get as many possessions in the game as you can, opposed to just playing the best basketball game you can. And that's where analytics is taking us. Analytics is taking us to a place where you see a guy that's not supposed to be shooting the basketball. He's getting 4 to 6 reps at the three-point line, and we're just playing an up and down pace, faster and faster and faster. And now you're starting to see that wear and tear on calves and Achilles and ankles opposed to knees when, the game was at a place where, guys were playing above the rim. Now we're playing outside of the three-point line, and it's become a track meet. That's what I see. That's my expert.
And the worst part is the calf, the hamstring, those injuries linger. It's not like a good old-fashioned ankle sprain, where you just ice it and you let it heal and you're back. This is something that could turn into something significantly bad. So it sucks because it might not be a serious injury, but it's not really something you can play through because it can continue to get worse and worse. Then you're missing real time. So that's also the negative of this particular injury, because like I said, it's not just going to heal like on its own. And if you play, a chance it turns into something a lot worse.
Well, shout out to the nerds for effing the game up, man.
Why you gotta blame the nerds? What if it's equipment? What if it's something's not being worn right?
When I think about analytics, I just think about a nerd. Like,
Boogie, you can't hate on nerds. Nerds are most nerds are fine.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna let Boogie call them nerds, but I do remember having conversations with coaches when I was in the league, and they were saying like, analytics, guys that can't play the game, they found a way to get involved in the game, and this was their end. So I won't like them to be nerds. You know what I'm saying? I want my son to be a nerd, but this is a way for guys that don't have the athletic ability, that love the game and that love all sports, to get inside of those sports.
Hey, Boogie.
I agree with you, Lou. I want my son to be a nerd as well. But
see, Dr. Nerds.
Stay away from sports.
Boogie.
Really? You don't want doctors around sports?
No, doctors can be around sports. I'm talking about as far as having say-so, impact,
notebooks,
or even an opinion on how to play the game. That's the part that's the issue. Hey, I appreciate all the doctors, all the guys that do the hard work behind the scenes. We need those. They're very valuable. But just do that. Don't tell us how to play basketball.
Look, I had a guy in Atlanta where I'd wear, you wear the thing, kind of like the brawl strap around under your jersey.
Remember that, yeah.
If I reached a certain amount of heart rate or steps, this guy would literally pull me off the court, and he wasn't cool. So I don't. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong with your assessment.
Wow.
He's projecting. He's thinking about his own heart rate.
I'm glad we got that in there. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Obviously, the other big story is the Chris Paul of it all, and that will continue to go on for a minute. And there was a little bit more to that yesterday. We'll get into it next. Back to Chris Paul. So, more Shams reporting that Chris Paul and Ty Lue were not on speaking terms for several weeks leading up to this move, and that his leadership style clashed with Ty Lue and the Clippers. All right, Lou, I'm going to start with you, obviously, on this one. Did any of that change anything, stuff that you already knew? What'd you think about the latest reports?
Yeah, not too much change for me. At this point, everything gets magnified when you're losing basketball games, and the Clippers are doing that right now. They're in a tough run. They look bad as a basketball team, and they've taken accountability there, and they've recognized that. They got a good win in Atlanta last night. That's the start of good things. But when it comes to Chris Paul and it comes to Ty Lue, and you're talking about culture, like when you're not winning games and you got a guy in the locker room and his name isn't Kawhi Leonard and it's not James Harden, and he's trying to get everybody on the same page, and you don't know what his tone or context is when he's trying to do this day in and day out, from the staff, from the locker room to, all things. Everybody knows that Chris Paul has been this type of leader his entire career. He's always been boisterous and always has been opinionated, has always been a captain, a leader, somebody whose voice, has been taken into consideration. When he speaks, people listen. And when you get to a certain place in your career, if the squeeze ain't worth the juice, you get into a scenario where people don't really want to hear you talk or what you got to say, especially when you're on a team with a bunch of veterans. Like there's not a lot of young guys on this Clippers team, right? Like It's not a rookie or second year, a bunch of young guys that Chris Paul can run around and put his arm around and push them forward. No, all of these guys are peers of his. All of these guys are veterans just as much as he is. And so when you're losing, and some of these guys have been on this roster, a number of years at this point, and Chris comes in and he has a bunch to say, has a bunch of bossing around to do, that can be taken the wrong way, or guys just simply ain't trying to hear it. Ty Lue probably just wasn't trying to hear it. And so, seeing Chris yesterday on FaceTime with Blake and DJ, I actually was on the phone with DJ when that call came in, and he had to get off the phone with me. Looked like he's in good spirits, man. It looked like he's in good spirits, and I'm making that judgment based off of just seeing him smile from a screenshot. I haven't heard anything from him, but that's my assessment of the situation. When you're not the Chris Paul that everybody's accustomed to seeing, and you can't go out there on the floor and put those numbers on the board that guys are used to you seeing, but you got a lot to say and trying to hold people accountable, it could be taken the wrong way, or guys just simply ain't trying to hear it. In my opinion, that looked like that's what the situation was with this Clippers team.
Yeah, I think Lou hit it on the head there. And I don't think Chris Paul went here to ruffle any feathers. I don't think he went there with the intent to kind of shake up the locker room and be this powerful voice, like the dean of students. Like this is just always how Chris Paul has been. He's always been an extension of the coaching staff. He's always been a leader. He's always been very vocal. And I just don't think his message, at this point of his career, it didn't sit well, like Lou said, with this vet locker room, like especially when you're not playing and we're losing. Like, you think James Harden wants to hear anything after losing again and again, and frustration keeps boiling over and over? So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here, but clearly there was issues that stemmed from this, and there were frustrations. And I think just simply sending him home kind of just clears the air and makes it more comfortable and more enjoyable to go to work every day, because clearly there was some sort of issues with that. Now, on the flip side, this is Chris Paul. This is why you brought him here, for that kind of leadership. This is what he is, a Hall of Fame player that deserves ears and respect and to listen. And another, like I said, an extension of the coach. My last year in Atlanta, I had Vince Carter in this similar role with Atlanta, and he did the same thing. The difference is that team was super young and they were rebuilding, and they accepted it. They took his advice. They loved Vince Carter. This current roster of a bunch of vet guys, like Lou said, his peers, they probably weren't rolling, and they probably like, yo, pipe down. Like, you're not even playing. Like, and it was probably annoying to hear that every single day. So I see both sides, but I know if I'm on that team, I'm listening to a guy like Chris Paul, who's had so much success and who brought this franchise to where they are now, and not even arguably, he's the best Clipper of all time. So I think he deserved that right to have a voice. I just didn't think it sat well with that locker room, clearly.
It's hard for me to unpack this whole situation. But me reading between the lines, I don't get caught up in the quotes and all that. I try to read between the lines, and for me, this is all one big ego trip. It's hard for me to register, one, why you have a problem with leadership and accountability. If you came into this season talking about, we want to compete for a championship. When you compete for a championship, all of those things come with it. It's going to be hard conversations. It's going to be conversations that you don't want to hear. It's going to be days where your leader is chirping at you, and you just got to accept it. So I'm confused. And then I also read to where, it ended up being a surprise to James Harden and Kawhi that this even happened. But then at the same time, they're putting out that the players didn't like what he had to say. So I'm confused. Like, if those are your two star players, if they aren't complaining about his leadership or his voice, then it doesn't matter. Nobody else matters. Yeah, I don't care if Zubac doesn't like. I don't care if Nicholas Batum doesn't like. You're just a guy that's on the team. You're here to be led. That's it. So this is smoke and mirrors for me. This is one big ego trip.
Do you think someone's lying, Boogie? Like,
either
the players,
like the NBA, they're always lying.
I'll tell you this.
I'm saying, like Kawhi and James say they're surprised.
They throw rocks and hide. This is typical NBA behavior. Like, this makes
there's a spin
and then on
involved.
top of this, this is a guy, like we've said, this is a guy that's the best player to ever come through your franchise. You know exactly who he is. This isn't something that just started this season. You've enabled this behavior his entire career. You signed him at the beginning of the season. You know exactly who he is. You know exactly what he brings. And a month in, 2 months in, all of a sudden, what he brings is a negative or an issue. Like, I'm confused. It literally makes no sense.
What we all can agree on, and we don't have to get into who's right, who's wrong, who's lying, who's not lying, how it was handled. That's as former players, that's what we're frowning upon. You don't do that. You don't do that in this manner to a guy who's like you said, he's the best Clipper of all time. He's the guy that's going to be the jersey that you retire first, and he's back in your uniform. He came home to have this feel good story to go down, right? And so when you do that, it looks bad as an organization to do that to this particular guy. And now the news is coming out that they were going to have a conversation on Tuesday opposed to Sunday when all of this happened. He deserves the respect to stop for a second, wait till we get home. Let's have a face-to-face. If we can't get on the same page with this face-to-face, then we move on. I think we all can agree on that part, right?
Yeah. No doubt.
100%.
And I think we also can agree that a decision like this is not made without Kawhi Leonard and James Harden being somewhat aware. Like, I'm not accusing anybody of lying, but those are the two best players.
But you're not shocked.
They're making all the money. They knew or approved that this was going to happen. And like Lou said, a little transparency, a little conversation or dialogue that you have with a guy like Chris Paul. And I don't care if it was supposed to happen and then the plane got delayed. Like, have the conversation on the plane, have the conversation on the bus, have some sort of respect where you at least get on the same page, and this Hall of Fame player doesn't feel blindsided where the only reason he's even in this situation is because he wanted to retire a Clipper and come home, be close to his family, and be with the franchise that he put on the map. So like the optics of it are bad, the business of it is bad. There's no excuse. And Lawrence Frank, he did go up there and he took the stand, and he said he has nothing to do with the lack of wins and the struggles that the Clippers have had. That's obvious. So at least he addressed that. I just wish that they would have come up with something. Let him step away from the team. Let him have family issues that he needs to. Let him do anything other than an Instagram story being like, I just got sent home with a peace emoji. It's just bad. It doesn't look good. And I just think a guy like Chris Paul, any player really, deserves just open transparency and dialogue.
And to piggyback off of that, I just want to go on record saying that I'm really disappointed in T. Lue and, how he's handled this situation. It's starting to become a pattern. I've experienced it. He's been on record talking about, how me and him didn't talk for a while. I saw him do it to Rajon Rondo the same year that we were there. Now you're doing it to Chris Paul. It was rumblings that you did it to John Wall. So it's starting to become a pattern as to how he deals with his players. And it's a big gray area that it's not making sense. And to brand yourself, as a player's coach, you're not really showing those tendencies with these patterns that are continuing to happen. So that's my issue with T. Lue. Like, a lot of guys got a lot of respect for you and a lot of love for you. You did it on both sides. So, love and respect for that. But we have to bring attention to how he's handling these relationships year after year with these different players. It's just not making sense, and I'm disappointed.
I go on the opposite side of you, Boogie, because that wasn't my experience with T. Lue. Like, from top to bottom, his communication with the players that were on the groups. When I was there with him, the communication was good. There was no issues with players. He didn't isolate himself from the team. You know how some coaches, they make it an environment where it's the coaches versus the players type of environment and vibe. That wasn't what T. Lue did for the groups that I was on. Now, the groups that I was on, we were very collaborative. If there was an issue, we sat down, we had conversations, and we moved on. Now,
are we talking starting five, or are we talking about the entire group?
Talking about everybody. Yeah, we're talking about everybody. That's why I'm saying that wasn't my experience. And I'm the sixth man. I'm coming off the bench. So, I always represent the underdogs. You know what I'm saying? I always represent them, but that just wasn't my experience. You know, he poured into everybody from top to bottom. You know, we had a team, we had a group with Kawhi, we had a group with PG and other guys and young guys that wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but the morale was up, the building was lively, and everybody was excited and happy to be there. And we were on a mission, we were on a journey all together, coaching staff and front office included, we felt like, you know. So that was your experience, that was my experience. So I just wanted to give balance to that.
Absolutely.
All of this is crazy because when you think about Chris Paul last year with San Antonio and all the talk about he's definitely going to be a coach one day, this is a crazy way for this to all play out for a guy who we assume is going to coach in some capacity at some point. I just find all of it fascinating. Do want to get grades on the FaceTime post. As far as look, not a Chris Paul fan. I give this 1,000. This is such an amazing moment.
CP a smart man. He said, you know what? I'm going to call up the Avengers. I'm going to call up the Clippers Avengers. And I'm going to get my guys on the phone. And we finna start this PR. This PR train right now.
Exactly,
and I'm going to spin this thing in my direction. I'm spinning this thing.
No caption needed. This is brilliant.
This was a direct shot to the fan base. Like, look, don't forget who the real Clippers are. Don't forget the squad that put us on the map. I'm still homies with them. And this current team is bullshit anyways. And just remember the Lob City years. With me and those good times we had, and then posting the video of Lob City, the story, FaceTime. This was a nice calculated play here, just to remind everybody that that's the real Clippers and that's who the fans love, not this current team.
It was a pretty relatable moment, even if you don't like the dude. Like, it was well done and perfect. Okay, so I guess, Chandler, let's talk really quickly on whether or not, you know, his age. We all know he wanted to be back in LA, he wanted to be next to his family, all the things that come with it. I guess you could go to the Lakers, but that wouldn't happen for a while anyways. So what do you think? Predict it now. What happens with Chris Paul?
I don't know, but for some reason, I don't think he's done. I think I can't help but see a year ago how he was a valuable asset on the Spurs. And I think he obviously came to the Clippers with hopes to have some sort of role and you know, impact. And that didn't happen. But whatever he decides to do, obviously he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and he's one of the greatest point guards of all time. But I just don't see him being done. I see a lot of teams across the league that are going to be in the playoffs and that are championship contenders that could use a guy like him. And knock on wood, there's never no more injuries, but those things happen. And Chris Paul is just sitting there and can still help a team and can still help a locker room. Maybe not a vet locker room that's losing every other night, but they can help a growing franchise that is trying to get to the next level. I would take that risk, and I don't even think it's a risk to go get Chris Paul if I'm Minnesota, if I'm Orlando, if I'm Houston.
Does he want to do that though? Does he want to?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just don't think his body and his mind is done playing basketball yet. I really don't.
I think we've seen the last of Chris Paul. And my opinion being, I've had several conversations with him about this. And on camera, off camera, we've had this conversation. And just recently he sat down with me at Media Day. And, you know, our conversations have always been centered around, at this stage in his career, how important him being around his family and his kids and them getting into activities, his son getting into basketball, being really good at basketball, him missing so many different events and moments for his kids and not being with his wife. That is extremely important to CP3 at this point in his life. He's expressed that to me, you know, and that was 98% of the reason he wanted to be a Clipper or be in Los Angeles in general, is to be closer to his family. So, you know, with him being in Los Angeles with the Clippers for this short stint and now have an opportunity to go somewhere else, he's gotten used to being at home. He's gotten used to being at events. He's gotten used to seeing his son, having a presence in his young career as a player and being that mentor as a dad, as he should be. I don't know if he goes back out on the road and tries to find another job to finish this thing out, especially with him saying that he's going to retire at the end of this year anyways. And I also asked him, are you at peace with your career? Are you at peace with everything that you've been able to accomplish and do? And he said he was. He was happy with how everything played out. Obviously, we all can accomplish more things and do more things, but, it didn't pan out that way. But at the end of the day, he said that he was at peace and he was comfortable if his career ended on that day when we had that conversation. So for those reasons, I don't think he goes out and looks for another job unless it's in purple and gold or Sacramento or somewhere close by where he can still be close to home.
Oh, this is a crazy one. Go ahead, Boogie.
I can see it going both ways. And the reason I say that, one, he deserves another chance. He deserves to go out, the right way. And I'm actually hoping that he goes out the right way because he was that great to the game. So that's why I say that. But also, something that hasn't really been talked about. He's ruffled a lot of feathers throughout his career. And, people don't forget things. You know what I mean? And one thing about it, once people kind of get that chance to get back at you, they'll do that. And as we see now, as much greatness, as much positivity he's brought to this game, as much greatness and positivity he's brought to different organizations, winning ways, it always comes to a point where they turn on you. And this is exactly what's happening now. And all of a sudden, when you speak on Chris Paul and it's about him finding another situation, his voice is too strong, his personality. This is where the tables start to turn. And now all of a sudden, the only thing he can bring to a team is negativity. So I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But this is how this thing works. Once they're done with you, they're done with you. And this may be the results of that.
God, these life lessons with Boogie are getting tougher and tougher each day. I'm getting depressed, Boogie. We'll take a quick break. Hey, real basketball. Let's talk about that on the other
44
side.
minutes talking about two dudes.
Run it up, run it back.
Love a Jamal Murray night. Had it last night. 52 points, season high, second highest of his career. Nice little win. 19 of 25 from the field. Career high 10 threes in his third 50-point game so far in his tenure as an NBA player. Let me ask you, All-Star team, we're doing it again. Is this the year, Chandler? Is this the year he makes it?
Yes, All-Star, especially with the format now. He's going to be on that world team. He's the second best Canadian player outside of SGA. They're going to need him, for that format. So I think even without that format, and if we went old school, he has done enough this year. If you look at those numbers, 25, he's got career highs kind of across the board. He's efficient, shooting 45% from the three-point line. Not only is he an all-star, put him in the three-point contest because he is having a year, and he's always been on the fringe. He has been so close. He's arguably the best player without an all-star appearance. That's going to change this year because I think he is a lock, as good as the Nuggets are and as good as he's playing.
That was a yay. Lou, you had your thumbs up. Yay. Easy.
Yeah, this is the year. And shout out to Canada, man. Canada look all right now. I'm digging Canada, man. I'm digging Canada. But yeah, this is definitely the year that he gets in, and it's much deserved, and it's delayed. It's late. He should have been on his third or fourth by now. But the NBA is a numbers game, and it's a lot of guys in his position that do a lot of great things. But it's good to see him in that conversation again. This year is the year that he gets in for sure.
Boogie, thumbs up.
I agree with the guys. I think this is the year, especially with the format. But I kind of want to be on the opposite end of things. If the format was the old way, I'm not sure he makes it with the way, these numbers are going this season with, some of the performances. But with this format, absolutely, he's a lock.
Feels like there's an
ask you
asterisk.
this. You have to take one this year as an all-star. Jamal Murray or Austin Reeves.
I knew that was coming.
Why you gotta take?
And that's the main reason I said that. When you got a guy like
saying, there's a lot of guards. There's a lot of guards.
Well, one is American and one is international. Does that matter?
Yeah. Well, there's still only a certain amount of numbers of the guys to get in.
Well, let's say it's not world. Let's say it's not world versus the U.S. It's the old format, right?
Yeah, it's old school. Which
so
one
does Jamal Murray or Austin Reeves get in?
You know what I say? I say this is the year that we see some of our legacy acts watch from the sideline, and some of these new guys get in.
That's what I want.
I don't know.
I vote that.
Steph's in, right? Steph's going to make it.
Steph's going to be an all-star. LeBron's going to be an all-star.
I just want to go around and say I didn't say Steph. What I said was this is going to be the year some of our legacy acts going to have to watch from the sideline, and that's okay.
Doesn't
legacy
feel
act?
And that is okay.
If you
But
talk
there
about
aren't that
anybody
many
from the
legacy acts
Clippers,
left. So
nobody's
it's
making it.
LeBron.
But look,
Steph.
Jalen Williams spots open. That's opened up. We
By
had
the
him
way,
as an
Austin
all-star.
Reeves is averaging.
That might be
is
Chet, though.
averaging-
That could be
Austin
Chet.
Reeves. Chet's in.
Hey,
Chet's
listen,
in.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
these guys
So
are
many
playing
spots, guys.
lights out. Austin Reeves is a shoe-in. Jamal Murray is a shoe-in. They got to figure it out. If one of the two of those guys don't get in, I ain't trying to hear it no more. Turn this thing into
Is De'Aaron
Let's do it.
Fox an all-star this year?
No.
He
All
has,
right.
better, he has better numbers than
I don't know.
Come on.
Guys,
I don't
this
know.
was not supposed to be an all-star fight. Like this
I don't
is
know.
not,
Wemby's going to
turn
have
it into an
game.
all-star fight.
I know, it just
I
turned
was
into
just-
an all-star fight.
I was looking at the numbers and they're spooky similar and they're right there in the ranking. So I'm like, maybe it comes down to one of those two guys. So I was just curious, you guys take.
No, when Chandler does this with his pen, like we got to go to a break. That's when he turns into numbers guy.
Hey, listen.
Quick break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right back.
Run it back, run it up, run it back.
Best hoopers from Georgia all time. You see, I got my A hat on. Who's in the Mount Rushmore? White, Sharif, Lemon Pepper Lou for sure. I remember watching Lou play in high school. Never warmed up for a game. He just used to dribble between his legs on the sideline while his team was warming up. And then came out there 40 ball. Lou was different, bro.
Oh, I love that. First of all, just never warming up is wild. How's that feel? Getting flowers from the young guys. Old
Yeah, so
man.
I give y'all some context. So here down here in ATL, there's a conversation being had about the Mount Rushmore of Atlanta Hoopers, and for whatever reason, the comments were trying to take me out of the Mount Rushmore. So everybody we had to get some straightening. Like, hold up, Lou stays. I got 4,000 high school points. I averaged 27 points as a freshman. I did this at the highest level of public school. You can't. So it was a back and forth about Lou Will coming out of the Mount Rushmore, and some of my young guns just wasn't going for it. So I appreciate that love.
Oh, I love that. By the way, who are they trying to replace you with? Like, what is your Mount Rushmore?
Well, we got a lot of young guys that's up and coming. We got Ant-Man that's up and coming. Castle is another one up and coming. Vassell is another one that's up and coming. So like 3 spots are solidified. JAYLEN is
They got
solidified.
some work to do, Lou.
Yeah, they got a bunch
They
of
got
work to
some
do.
work
The
to
white
do,
guy,
yeah.
the white is solidified. Josh Smith is another conversation.
Whoa.
Sharif, Dion Glover, Walt Freight. It's a lot of guys. But Lou Will is only one player in the state of Georgia that was better than me in high school, and her name is Maya Moore. Other than that,
Pop your shit, Lou. Pop your
I
shit, Lou.
love this part of Lou.
Lou, did you play on the Atlantic Celtics or you were on a different
I was
squad?
a Georgia Star, baby. I was on the Nike circuit.
Star. I like when Lou does this part because it's
We
the
just
other
had to
side.
get that. I'm glad JAYLEN said it and I didn't have to defend myself. I appreciate that. Much love, JB. Love.
It's probably better that way, actually. I know. Chandler, would you go to bat hard if somebody? No, I've already seen you fight the trolls. I saw you fighting Eddie Johnson on social media. Like, yeah, I know you would fight him.
That dusty old hag has.
Oh,
he's always
that's not
been
why I said it.
No. Hey,
He's been on my
respect
back
your
since
elders.
2022. He can buzz off.
Okay,
Respect
that's not
your
why I
elders,
brought up
dog.
his name. I hate you. All right. Whew, we're out of time. Gosh, I hate that.
Thank God no
good
one's
news
listening
is-
to his radio show to hear his
How are you
hate.
still talking? We'll
Okay.
see
Look at
y'all on
his face.
Monday.
Look at his face. He's serious.
Yeah,